Hey everybody, welcome to Goots' Wrestling Pod. I'm your host, Ray Goots, and with me it's Andrew Lee, bro. Andrew Lee, we're covering Superbrawl 2. You okay there?
Yeah, I'm just making sure I got no powdered sugar all over my face and my
Oh, bro.
shirt.
He's eating donuts. Andrew, I don't know if you can see, but I have a WCW jacket on today.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is that a real or is that like a
I got it in 2018. It's a chalk line jacket. It's cool, right?
Wait, you got that 2018?
Yeah.
From where?
Chalk line.
What's
All these
chocolate?
jackets I have are from chalk line.
Oh, so it's not from WWE, right?
No, it is. WWE made it. Yeah. WWE license. I mean, WWE gives them the license to make it, but then they make it.
See,
I'm sure
I
Vince
think
gets.
I think WWE just throws away money. Like they
Well,
should be
they
making
sell
these
these jackets on the website too.
on their website?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I got a Hulk Hogan jacket on their website back in the day. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not really. I mean, like Chalkline is like it's a clothing brand, so it's like
No, I like it. It looks great. It
no.
looks
But
like
I'm
an
saying is like
actual.
if like I don't know, like if fucking Versace were to make WWE shirts, people would buy them and pay a premium because it's Versace. And then WWE would get more money out of that deal because they could. I'm sure if Versace made like a Hulk Hogan T-shirt, they could charge like $80-$90 for it.
Yeah, I guess it would be like me saying the WWE should make their own action figures. Like, no, they're going with Mattel. It's fine.
Yeah, it's like they make their own T-shirts, but for something like this, and I paid like 120, I think, for this. But I've been wearing this now for like 5
Yeah,
years.
but actually, that's true. They do make their own T-shirts and stuff. So I wonder
Yeah.
why they can't make something like this on their own.
Well, because people are gonna buy it because it's like a clothing line that people like. So you're
Oh,
gonna get so
okay.
you're gonna get more people buying it and more people paying a premium to say I'm wearing chalk line. You know?
It's hey, you know what? That's true because you're a great example of that. Absolutely, I see your point. It does look
Yeah,
nice. It does look like an actual vintage WCW shirt.
yeah. That's why I
I
like it.
I'll be honest with you. When I was watching this pay per view, Super Brawl 2, I like their old logo. Just that giant
They never should have
WCW.
changed. They never should have changed this logo. This was the best logo.
Yes, it was their best logo, but I understand why they had to change it because that's when they were like, dude, we got same reason why WWE had to change their logo because they were
I
like, dude,
know,
we
but
got to do
like
something.
the logo they had with like the fucking vagina, it just didn't work.
I don't know. I always thought that logo was pretty hot.
Yeah, you were like, hey, bro, you want to stick it in there? Really quick, go over news. I have a prediction. I don't know if so I noticed something today. Brian Myers. I mean, this is huge news.
Wait,
Brian,
before you go into the news, give us some background. What are you talking about here?
talk about Impact Wrestling.
Impact Wrestling, okay.
Okay, and Brian Myers in massive news. This shook the industry to its core. Brian Myers has re-signed with Impact Wrestling. That's not the most interesting part of the story. The most interesting part of the story, and this is where is that Sports Illustrated broke the story, and then Impact tweeted, as first reported by Sports Illustrated, Brian Myers has resigned. Now, you know who also does that with Sports Illustrated? WWE. And I don't know if you noticed, but Endeavor is now allowing Impact to use their streaming platform for Impact Plus. And Scott D'Amore said 2 days ago, you're not going to believe he's going to show up at Hard to Kill next month. My
Yes.
prediction is that Impact is now going to be the NXT to NXT.
So if you're thinking that, who do you think is showing up?
I think someone from WWE is going to be on the card.
That's
I'm
a
going to say
very
I'm going to say Candice LeRae.
God, that's so shitty.
Well, but to the wrestling Twitterverse and to the Impact fans, it's big. And I don't know if it's Candice LeRae, but I think that since Endeavor's like, I think they're like, we want to work with a company and kind of like have our guys, if we're not using someone, rather than fire them or put them on NXT, have them go to
or someone who needs more experience.
yeah,
Go to
send them to
Impact
Impact
Wrestling.
and come back like ECW was. I
I
would
will
not.
say this. That's a very bold prediction. And if that does happen, remember where you guys heard it first, okay? Right
Because
here.
why would Sports Illustrated cover unless WWE told Sports Illustrated, we want you to start covering Impact stories?
And Scott Demore's thing, his post was saying like, "You're never gonna believe who's showing up," right?
Yeah.
Leads me to believe it's not some of the people that everyone thinks it's gonna. Like some people
Also,
I've
like,
heard say Sasha Banks, but that's so like on the nose. Like it's like unless Scott Demore is doing like the Tony Khan kind of announcements that are
but
like
also,
not
like,
really.
I would never work with AEW again if I was Impact.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
I
After
would
what they
I
did to
would
me,
rather
yeah.
just not have any buzz.
And at this point, you don't need to work with AEW because they're on the down right now. You
Yeah.
know,
hmm And
so
you know, with WWE, you know, I think Endeavor likes to do, maybe also that's the other thing too now, because now it's TKO, it's not WWE.
yes,
I think Endeavor does stuff with MMA or used to. Maybe the UFC is like, hey, Endeavor, not Endeavor, what's the name of the company that owns Anthem? Hey, Anthem, we could do some stuff with the Fight Network, but why don't you let Candice LeRae wrestle Josh Alexander at the April pay-per-view? And it's a win-win for everyone. Because what is it if Ivar and Candice LeRae and I'm just throwing names out here, Bianca Belair are on Impact for like 2 months? That's not going to affect anybody. It's just going to help out Impact.
do you think they'll also send like Vince McMahon there? Because TKO doesn't really want Vince McMahon, but he's still part of that company. And they might be
Vince
like,
McMahon
"Can
will
we?"
hang himself before he goes to Impact Wrestling.
No, I think he would go there, be like, "Vince, we want you to like run this like group, kind of like in our image," and he'll be like, he likes power. Vince McMahon likes power, you know, and he'll go there and he can like fucking
I don't
like
think you're going to see Vince McMahon in Impact, but I do think I think someone from WWE is going to walk through the curtain at Hard to
a
Kill.
lot of women in Impact that he hasn't sexually harassed yet. I think
Well,
that's very enticing to.
I heard he loves that Billy Willie.
Stop. Name it back to TNA. This time they'll stand for.
That's Gishelle's. Rick Steiner told me that Gishelle's show is hot as shit. Come here.
I don't know what this Rick Steiner talking about. She's hot. And be like, Vince, you know she's a traitor. So what's that?
What are you? I don't. Oh, the best of both
I don't know
worlds.
what that is.
I love it. So yeah.
It
So
is.
it's gonna harass Giselle Shaw. So
You
that's
know
my
what? If TNA actually ends up working in a partnership with WWE, I am 100% all for that. I think
yeah.
that's something. TNA has been around for so long at this point. They've been around longer than WCW that I feel like they've like earned the right to be leveled up like this. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
But also it's like I think now, like if you're seeing a TKO boardroom, it's like no matter how much we help TNA, they are never they're never going to be what they're never going to be on our level. Doesn't matter what we could send them Roman Reigns for a year and tell Roman Reigns you're not allowed to be on WWE TV. You're only going to be on Impact Wrestling TV. Roman Reigns and CM Punk. You could send both of them to TNA for a year and pay them and still not going to help. It's not going to take T. So no matter what you do, the only way why I think this is a plus is you can have someone you believe in go there and develop and then bring them back.
yeah, I think
You got
so.
the Creed brothers go there, have some matches, and then learn how not to botch, so they're not botching on live TV like they did last. They almost killed Damian Priest last night.
Yeah, I think they're ready to like have NXT kind of not be NXT.
Yeah,
But the
so
only way
Impact's
to do that is send like the really green motherfuckers over to Impact Wrestling, get better, and come back.
get better.
I would say you're right. There's no matter what you do, TNA will never get past a certain level. You can send half the WWE roster over there. Like I'm gonna tell you the best. You can take
So
half
this
the roster.
so Raw. You send the whole Raw roster, and then the SmackDown roster's on Raw and SmackDown. And Impact still won't.
Yeah, I guarantee that. Yeah, you'll see like a bump. You'll see a bump in the ratings, right? You would, but then they're present. Like so, if you took the entire Raw roster,
yeah, the entire Raw.
and you said it's TNA, the first 2 weeks, yes, the ratings are going to be high, right? But then people are going to see the presentation. They're going to see CM Punk versus PCO, and they're going to be like, "What the fuck is this shit?"
They're gonna see the Sinister Minister talking to Seth
You're
Rollins.
gonna see fucking Ricochet jobbing to fucking Tommy Dreamer, and you're gonna be like, what is this shit? And then the ratings will slowly start going down like a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, and and I think Impact likes being where they are, and the TNA or whatever, and it's good. It's a good number two, because AEW is not number two.
TNA is a safe number two. You
Yeah,
know, like it is in WWE's best interest to support TNA
TNA
so that
around.
they become a firm number two, and it helps bring AEW down. Now, if they did that, I think the people who will lose the most is probably wrestling fans, right? Because you're not going to get this true alternative at second place because, um, like supposedly AEW is trying to go back to what it used to be, not like what they were this whole year. But if TNA is like a firm number two, that's really going to hurt like wrestling fans in general. But I am all for it because I like TNA. Like I'm excited about their action figures coming out next year. I'm excited about Snake Eyes. I think that's a great name for a pay-per-view. I'm excited for them having like um Kushida wrestling there full time and stuff.
Yeah,
So
and I'm
I'm all
excited at
for
the
it.
fact that they're just calling themselves TNA again, which is good.
Yeah, that's fine, dude.
My other prediction. Here's my other prediction.
Yeah. What's your other prediction? Yes.
So MJF again today is like, oh, I haven't re-signed with AEW. Like, shut the fuck up, bro. Shut up. MJF, this is my other prediction. MJF is gonna stay in AEW. Okada's coming to WWE.
Yes, because Gunther
hit the Rainmaker.
Last night did the Rainmaker clothesline finisher. That's Okada's.
No one does the Rain. Has anyone ever done the Rainmaker on WWE TV?
No,
So I
but
say he's coming.
yeah, I think that's it. Because like you know why people say like, well, why do you think just that? Because before CM Punk came over to WWE, they had Shinsuke Nakamura do the GTS and so forth. Yeah, so it's possible. It's a big possibility. I think if Okada goes to WWE, I'm all for that too. Because you know why? I don't want to see this guy keep wrestling a strong style and then only do 5 more years of wrestling. I'd rather see him for a very long time and do a safe thing where he doesn't have to walk like a goddamn cripple for the rest of his life.
I think
make top dollar.
I think the way they've changed Shinsuke Nakamura's presentation into like an anime villain, like it's more tapping into why people like Japanese culture. Because Vince didn't understand, and neither did Bruce Pritchard for that matter. They didn't understand why people like Japanese wrestling, Japanese culture, anime. They had no fucking clue. So they had a Japanese guy go on TV. It would just be like, oh, hero, sushi. You know what I mean?
You know what it would be like? It would be like what they did with Ricky Steamboat and Superbrawl too.
Oh yeah, yeah, which we'll talk about. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I think you have people in power, Triple H is one of them, that understands why people like these guys, and they're presenting Nakamura in a way that makes him like an anime character. And I think they're doing that so they can say to Okada, we're not going to have you walk around and be like, huh? And fucking have Funaki dance with you. Like, we're going to present you as like a legit threat, and you become a bigger star than ever.
And I think you're seeing that with Damage Control as well, right?
Yeah, they're presenting the Japanese wrestlers the way that they got over.
Yeah, I would love to see Okada in WWE. I would personally.
I'm gonna say it's Okada Gunther at Mania.
Okay. I also not at Mania. Actually, maybe because his contract supposedly ends in January, so Mania is in April, so that's possible. Yeah. I will say this. If he went into AEW, I also would like that too. Just anything where he's in America a little more. What?
It's a waste of time, AEW.
It might be, but you'll still get to see him, you know.
So I also don't think Tony Khan should sign anybody else.
No, he shouldn't, but he probably he'll keep.
He's gonna try to sign Okada. He has a heart right now thinking about that.
Yeah.
He's gonna try to sign Okada. Yeah.
Oh, he's gonna try. Yeah.
He shouldn't though. That's my thing. He should keep MJF.
There's so many things he shouldn't do, but he's gonna do.
Oh God! Did you see that press conference that Ring of Honor reacted again like he's a victim because people don't like the shows?
Oh, you know we've been.
Did you hear what he said? To be AEW's to be under constant attack. It's like shut the fuck up.
I will give him this though. They were being attacked from day one, right? 100% they were. But I will say now it's actually deserved. Before it wasn't. Like the first year or two, people were betting against. Dude, you bet against them before they even started. You
I
were
know,
like, they're
fuck
gonna
them.
fail. Yeah, and people didn't like them. I agree with that. Like, yeah, people didn't like them, but I feel like then it really wasn't deserved. I think it is deserved now. It's just shit. It's just bad wrestling. It's just not good.
Well,
It's not good
I
show.
watched I finally watched Collision this week. I watched the last hour. And the last hour wasn't bad. The matches were. I do think, and this
Yeah.
brings back to Superbrawl too. I do think the best thing that they could do in AEW, which is the best thing that WCW did, and why everyone was going crazy at this show, is focus on wrestling. Because Super Brawl 2 is a show that focuses on wrestling and wrestling storylines, and that crowd is on fire the entire night, and they put on a great show. It's when you try to copy Vince, you fucking fall flat on your fucking face.
Well, I agree, but that's what they were doing before this whole Continental Classic.
Mm-hmm.
The whole 2023, even some of
Even this
2022,
devil shit reminds me of the Black
them trying to copy WWE, and that's why it fucking sucks. But you're right. At this point, they're trying to get back to their roots, right?
Yeah.
But I will say this: you're right about Super Brawl 2. It is a very wrestling heavy show, but I have my feelings on a wrestling heavy show, right? I think that is the route to go to differentiate yourself from WWE,
Mm-hmm.
but ultimately there's a ceiling for it. I really believe so.
Yeah, but I think that this show works for me because, and I think the reason why people like WCW, even because they did this even in the Hogan era, even when Hogan was fighting Kamala in the main event, they did this with the undercard. Is they have this way, and it's in Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross, treating it like it's a real sport without like making it but with still being wrestling. It's a very fine line that they walk, and WWF can't do that. They've never been able to do that, and it comes across as false when they do try to do it, right?
Mhm.
And but they had a way of presenting this like this is a real sport. Like I said, you know how I said like they bring up like the World Series, like when remember Eric Bischoff at a Great American Bash, like last night the World Series, but tonight we have the Barbarian taking on Cactus Jack, like they try to present like they're all in the same world, and I think that plays to its strength. I think that's why people like WCW, and I think when WCW was on fire was they'd have undercards where it's Rey Mysterio versus Jushin Thunder Liger, which is presented as a real sport. And then you had the Hogan NWO stuff, which is presented as sports entertainment, but it was done really well. So you had like your real sports in the first half of the show, and then you had like fucking insane
Drama.
WWE style drama at the second half. And I think
Yeah,
that's
the good drama. Yeah,
good
I
drama.
agree. That is when they were on top, right? For 83 weeks.
Hogan
So
brought
yeah,
the good drama. Yeah.
yeah. And you know what? To be fair, if you look at WWE, when they were at their peak, whenever they're at their peak, it's when it's a combination of both too.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So when you look at like WWE back in the early to mid 80s, right? When they're at their peak with Hogan Andre. That's a great storyline, great drama. But you also have matches like Steamboat versus Macho Man, which is I think it's one of the greatest matches of all time, right? Probably the greatest match we've seen so far covering all these pay-per-views. Back in the 2000s, right? When they were killing it again.
Benoit was there.
You had Benoit, Kurt Angle just like putting on clinics every fucking night. And meanwhile, you had this great drama, these great storylines of like, they had some of the best storylines, right? Like where Triple H and The Rock storyline, the thing with like I guess
Stephanie, Triple H, and Kurt Angle.
Stephanie and Triple H. There was just like lots of stuff going on, right? Where they're firing on
Vince versus Austin, yeah.
Everybody had a character that was kind of over, right? Yeah, so I really think like any company, any wrestling company, you are at your best when you are firing on both those cylinders. You have a group of guys who can really put on just great matches, but then you have a group of guys who excel at telling a story.
Yes.
Right now, AEW, they're trying to get back to having great matches, right? Mm-hmm. And they gotta fucking rethink the way they do stories. I really think so.
Yeah.
Do you know back then, when they first year or two, their stories weren't that bad.
Yeah, well, that's because they had Cody and CM Punk there.
No, even before CM Punk.
That's because they had Cody.
When they got CM Punk is when the story started getting bad, in my opinion.
No, but Cody. I think Cody is the reason why those first 2 years, those three. Yeah, hold on, 2020, 20. Yeah, three. He was there 3 years. Holy shit! Those first 3 years, fucking, you enjoyed it so much. I think Cody was the secret
Yeah,
sauce.
I agree, dude. I'm a big Cody fan. I knew he was going to change the face of wrestling, which he did.
And you know,
Um,
and I think the reason why, and this will come out like, years from now. Cody and I think Punk, to some extent, had goals of taking this to the next level. And I think Bucks and Tony Khan are like, I just want to run Pro Wrestling Gorilla, but in a big arena. And he was like, well, then you'll just wind up in a small arena eventually. If you're just catering to Dave Meltzer, it's not going to last.
Somebody did. Somebody, I think, didn't see that vision. I think it's more Tony Khan than anybody else, but
Yeah, I think
somebody did. The point is, somebody
Cody
did.
was like, I think Cody was like, we need to, because it did feel. There were times it really did feel like a WWE presentation with Cody, and now it doesn't. And it was ever since he left. And ever since he left, the drama got worse. And everyone who is not blinded by AEW sees that once Cody left, you had like a month, you had like a few months of the show still being pretty solid, then it just fell apart. But it led to some great stuff with CM Punk at the press scrum. So
it did. 100% did.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, Superbrawl 2. What?
You ready to get into Superbrawl?
Yeah, let's talk about Superbrawl 2, which I enjoyed. Way better than Starrcade 91.
Yeah, this was good. We were saying how WCW was trying to present Superbrawl as their WrestleMania. Remember, based on previous promos they did.
These first, yes, but it wasn't perceived by that. People, I think, until the end, perceived Starrcade as their WrestleMania, and I think they were always befuddled that they didn't treat it like that. People always perceived Starrcade like their WrestleMania.
I feel like this kind of did have a feel like it didn't have the numbers because I think Starrcade drew more. Actually, no, it was Great American Match. One of those things drew better than Super
The
Brawl.
problem is they stop so this Super Bowl does feel like the culmination of storylines.
Yes.
They stop doing that after a while. Whereas there's a Super Bowl where Hulk Hogan wrestles the Giant, and it's it doesn't even matter.
Yeah. But not this one. This one matters.
Mm-hmm.
Super Brawl 2, best friends now, bitter rivals, brawl for it all. Takes place February 29th, 1992 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 5,000 people are in attendance. Still drew better than Final Battle 2023.
Everything will.
The intro for this pay-per-view goes straight into the card, all the matches. We have Tony Schiavone and Eric Bischoff. They run down the entire card. They welcome us and they run down the card. They're the host of the show. So they'll be sitting and they'll be introducing each match. It's almost pointless what they do, but they're there.
Well, they do they basically a pre-show panel. They do the sports. They again, they're trying to treat it like a sports. We're sports and we're analyzing the game.
You mean they're like Sue Henning and Nick Bockwinkel?
Yes, they're like those two. Yes, maybe they saw LPWA and they're like, we have to copy that idea.
We need analysts. We need analysts. Missy Hyatt is the backstage interviewer, and Jim Ross is in the ring. He's going to be the commentator, and he introduces us to his co-commentator. It is Jesse Ventura who rides a motorcycle down. So already right here, this is where I felt like, oh, this is their big show because you're bringing in the big gun. It brings in Jesse Ventura. Jesse adds
a lot to this show, by the way.
Yes. He looks at JR and he goes, if you had a cowboy hat, you look just like JR Ewing from Dallas. And I was like, Jesse Ventura saying this guy should wear a cowboy hat.
And they always say, I bet you Vince heard that and was like, that's a great idea.
He's going to make a lot of calls like that. We're going to go into our first match. It is for the WCW Light Heavyweight title. Brian Pillman going up against the champion, Jushin Thunder Liger. This match starts off mat-based. They're wrestling the mat. And they do a figure four spot where Pillman has him, Jushin Liger has him figure four. And then they just start slapping each other. But not like today, Like in today's wrestling, they'll sit down on the mat and they'll slap. One guy will slap you and then wait for you to slap him back, and then you guys just take turns slapping each other without any defense. These guys were like slapping each other like it's a MMA fight. We're just slapping each other, and you're just, you're not waiting for the other guy to slap you. He's just slapping you back right away, which I like. And then Jushin Liger starts focusing on the Pillman's left knee, but things start getting flippy. We get including like a rolling dive off the top to the floor from Jushin Liger, which JR calls a moonsault. It wasn't a moonsault, but it's still impressive. Brian Pillman hits an air Pillman clothesline, and then he hits a suplex on Liger from the ring all the way down to the floor, which was pretty crazy. And then he dives on him from the top. Did you like the mat part better, or did you like the flippy stuff better?
I liked how it went from mats to flippy. I like that, like, it didn't go right to flippy, and they're like hitting each other with 15 moonsaults right from the start, kicking out at like 1. I thought it was a nice progression.
I agree with you. And when they did the mat stuff, they didn't just do like 3 mat moves and then go into flippy. They stayed in the mat stuff for a while, and then they started getting flippy.
Mm-hmm.
Liger goes for a splash. What?
It's a progression.
Yes, the progression. Yes, the build-up.
An escalation, which is what those moves are supposed to be.
Yes, very good. That's a very good analysis of this. You should have been up there with Eric Bischoff and Tony Schiavone.
I should have been.
Jushin Liger goes for a splash, but he misses, and then Pillman uses a bridging cover for the win. They shake hands afterwards. It's a great opening match. I felt when I watched this match, I was like, dude, I feel bad for whoever has to fucking wrestle in match number 2.
Yeah, this is seen as one of the best WCW matches of all time. This is seen as Brian Pillman's best match of all time, and this is also seen as a match that made a lot of Americans into Jushin Thunder Liger fans and Japanese Puro fans, because they're watching this like WCW, and then at the end they're like New Japan. So yeah, this match is a very historic match.
Yeah, it's a very good match. Was that the same finish that Jericho and Shawn Michaels used at WrestleMania 19 or no?
I don't know. I actually watched that match last night because I put on a Raw where they showed that. What it was, a rolling bridge or something?
It's like a weird, it's like this weird bridge that I don't see a lot. I don't even know what the name of the move is. It's
I think it was just a regular bridge with Shawn.
This one was the regular bridge. That was the previous one we saw. That's right. Never mind. But yeah, I agree. This was a fantastic match. Missy Hyatt, she's in the back with the tailor-made man, Terrence Taylor, who cuts a promo on Marcus Alexander Bagwell. And he says, you should have been my protege. I was going to teach you how to be a winner, but now I'm going to teach you how to be a loser. And I was like, because you're a loser? Like, that's a bad promo.
Right? Yeah, dressed up like a rooster.
Yeah, like, I'm going to teach you how to be a loser because that's what I'm good at teaching. So for this second match, I have a little surprise for you, Ray. For this second match, the guest commentator is a young man from Syracuse University. His name is Barry Abrams, and he actually won a contest to do guest announcing. Mm-hmm. And he is wearing a tuck, but then he's wearing basketball shorts. And somebody did an interview with this guy. They found him, Barry Abrams, and he said, the show was in late February, and I remember at the beginning of February 1992, my roommate and I were watching WCW Weekly Recap show that aired in the morning, and as the show went to break, they had the graphic advertising the contest, send in a tape, and you can win a regional prize, like ring announcing at a local show or whatever. And this is what he was doing. He's a student photographer shooting a Seton Hall Syracuse game in the Dome, and he's like, oh, I have better equipment, I could do this. So he filmed it. Including using a real microphone and having like a spectacular background. So he filmed himself, and then he transferred the video to VHS, sent it in. And the closer the show got, the less I thought about it. But on Tuesday, before the show, I returned from breakfast, and there was a message from someone from Atlanta saying he won the grand prize winner. He called him back, and that's what it ended up being. The surprise I have for you is I found this guy as well, and I emailed him.
Okay.
And he emailed me back. And he wrote, your sleuthing did lead you to the right person. Wasn't that crazy? I had won a contest that WCW had. I recorded audition tape while shooting a Seton Hall Syracuse game, like as you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And when you shoot a game on the scissors platform there, you do not have enough time to go down from there, get food, and get back in time for the start of the second half. So with the 12 minutes, I remember this cookie contest and recorded myself. The other photags at the platform thought I was nuts. They couldn't figure out what I was doing. I figured out that most ham and eggers doing this would be in their living rooms. While I had a primitive college kid recording equipment, it was still better than probably what other people were handing in, which is true, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is what he says. As it turns out, the lady at WCW who was doing the judging, of whom I had absolutely no idea, was a Syracuse alumnus. So he thinks that might have helped. And now I asked him a couple of questions. I said, "Why were you wearing a tux top and a basketball shorts? It's an awful look, right?"
Yeah.
And he said the idea of that outfit came from Dennis Brent of WCW. I had to bring the shorts and shoes. I borrowed them from a friend, and then WCW fitted me for the top half of the tux. And I asked them, remember, they're in Syracuse, New York, and this show was in Milwaukee. I asked them, did they fly you over or did you have to go by yourself? And they said they flew my roommate and me to Milwaukee, put us in the Hyatt Regency where the crew and talent were staying, and had ring announcer Gary Capetta act as our chaperone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he says that I asked him if this helped him in his career, and he said no, it did not help him in his voiceover career. But he did say what was really interesting was that his mom and dad had to pay had to buy the pay-per-view to watch him.
They couldn't give a free pay-per-view.
By the way, if you were interested in this person, he had another actually interesting point for this. He said after the show ended, we wandered over to the post-game buffet, and apparently they forgot to tell us that they were going to shoot an angle for the next week's WCW Saturday Night, and it was a food fight between Sting and his guys versus Rick Rude and Rick Rude's stable. And my college roommate and I were just sort of caught in the crossfire of plates, dishes, and food being hurled. And he goes, I wish I had a videotape of that because that was the best part. And he said it was crazy at breakfast on Sunday morning at the Hyatt lobby, seeing Abdul the Butcher sitting next to Dominic Wilkins and Kevin Willis and the Atlanta Hawks. And it's like, that is kind of interesting. By the way, Barry is a successful voiceover artist, and he is a producer at ESPN. He also populated ESPN podcast called The Gate, which ended in 2020, and he does a lot of audio tapes. He was actually on Letterman as well on April 13th, 1990, talking about wanting to be a sportscaster. So
listen,
we
got our first guest, our first exclusive behind the scenes info no one knew from Superbrawl 2 here on Goots' Wrestling Pod. Good sleuthing, because
nobody else does this. Yes.
Nobody else. You know what? I feel like he's very proud to talk about that day. It's like, oh, well, yeah, we take
it. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would be too. Yeah.
I would if I guest announced a match on like Superbrawl or something like that, or fine, one of the NXT PLEs. I would bring it up in every podcast. Yeah. I would bring it up every episode, at least once. But yeah, hey, we're the ones who break the news on why he was wearing basketball shorts and a tux top. Look at that.
A lot of people were wondering that, and we broke the news.
Exactly. Anyways, he is announced guest announcer for match number 2, Marcus Alexander Bagwell, who will go on to be Buff Bagwell versus tailor-made man Terrence Taylor, former Red Rooster. In this match, Taylor punches Bagwell outside. I know people shit on him a lot and say he's a loser and all that, but he was actually not a bad worker. His punches look great. I thought his punches
were. Or Terry Taylor?
Terry Taylor.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's got some great punches. They look good. And Ventura says in this match, when basically most of this match is Terrence Taylor just beating on Bagwell, and Ventura goes, Bagwell's will start begging for his mama. And I was like, oh man, you have no idea.
You have no idea what he does with his mama.
Yeah. Ventura's like a fortune teller. He's just calling things in the future.
I feel like he might know some stuff that we don't know yet at that point, and he's using it. Like maybe he heard like, hey, this guy's really close with his mom. And
maybe you're right.
Maybe Vince once said if Jim Ross ever comes here, I want him to wear a cowboy hat and stuff. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe he heard him say that. You're right. Bagwell uses a O'Connor roll up for the win, and Taylor, as soon as the match is over, he gets mad and he fucking hits his tailor-made forearm and a DDT after the match. Try to get his heat back. The crowd did not really care for this match until the finish, though. What did you think about this match number 2?
It was okay. I mean, it's it's gonna be Bagwell lasts till the end of WCW, man. I mean, he's there to pay-per-view.
Crazy.
Bagwell for a while tries to become a good wrestler and then just coasts on being a star, although he never was.
It's because he broke his neck, isn't it?
He didn't really, yeah, but it wasn't that much of a broken neck. But yeah, Bagwell. But like, it'll be interesting. Right now, he's still trying. So this is in the the part of his career where he's really still trying. But I remember like I wasn't watching WCW. My friend said Marcus Alexander Bagwell. I thought he was making up the name. I thought like he just made it up. Like there's nobody named Marcus Alexander Bagwell. But
the first time I ever saw Bagwell was when he was teaming with Too Cold Scorpio, and I thought they were a really cool tag.
Yeah, well, we're gonna see that. But I like the name. I think Buff Bagwell works a lot better for him. But yes, it was just an okay match. This was probably like one of the weakest matches on the show, I thought.
Yeah, I liked it. If you, at the end of the day, it's not a bad match. It's just like a regular. You know what it is? It's a match with a very green guy versus a guy who's like a vet.
Not over.
And yeah, but he's not over. He's not popular. He's just like it's like wrestling Dean Malenko. I guess you could say. And
Dean Malenko, I think, is more over than Terry Taylor. But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Terry Taylor's not a bad wrestler. He just but he's got his limits. But overall, not bad. Missy Hyatt, she's in the back. She's by Lex Luger's locker room, and she runs into Harley Race, and Harley Race cuts a promo on Sting and all that. We're gonna go to match number 3: Cactus Jack versus Ron Simmons. During this match, Cactus Jack does the Hangman rope spot. This is when you run to the ropes and your head gets caught between the two, and you flip over, and you're kind of like being hung up there, the two ropes. This spot gets a huge reaction from the audience. This is the first time I'm seeing this spot on the shows that we are reviewing. I love this spot. Someone needs to keep doing this spot. Nobody does it anymore. The last person I think I've seen do this spot was maybe Rikishi.
I don't think a lot of people do the spot because it's really kind of dangerous and stupid.
Oh yeah, this is the spot that took away.
Yeah, so it's like
yeah,
doesn't add. I don't think it adds that much to a match to take that risk to lose your ear. So
what do you think is more dangerous, this spot or taking like like a Canadian destroyer?
Probably this spot, which is why people do Canadian destroyers all the time. They don't do this spot.
Okay, good. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
You're like, if the Canadian destroyer was more dangerous, no one like, oh, that guy died, he took a Canadian destroyer. Everyone's been fine from a Canadian destroyer.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I mean, remember when Cena pulled out a Canadian destroyer?
Didn't Dante Martin like turn his foot around doing the Canadian destroyer into like a table or something like that?
Was that at the Ring of Honor show this year? I didn't see that one.
Yeah.
But he's an idiot and he's an AEW, so.
Okay. During this match, Junkyard Dog is in the crowd watching this match in a tux, and Ventura goes, "Hey, is that Junkyard Dog in a tux? What is he, seating people now? Is he an usher?" I was like, gee. It's really funny, and like Jim Ross has to like, well, my man can't wear a tux. He goes, I don't know. He looks like he might got a new job. He's an usher. Why is he in the audience and wearing a tux? And I was like, that's a good point. Why is he in the audience wearing a tux? So weird. Anyway, the fight spills onto the ramp, and then Cactus Jack takes a spine buster onto the ramp. And it's a spine buster for Ron Simmons, so it looks like it fucking hurt. And then Cactus Jack was like, can I just do that Hangman road spot again? I don't want to take your spine buster on the fucking ramp.
Ron Simmons was hitting hard back in the day, man.
Yeah, he was. Cactus Jack, he does that thing where he goes up to the second rope and do something, but then he jumps into like Ron Simmons, who turns it into a power slam for the win. As soon as he wins, Abdullah the Butcher, your favorite wrestler, he comes down, right? And he does this thing where he comes down with a smile on his face. It's so stupid. And he starts, both Cactus and Abdullah start attacking Ron Simmons, and the commentators are like, oh, the Butcher and Cactus Jack, they're back together. They're back to being tag teams. And Junkyard Dog, he comes through the crowd, and he comes to the ring, save Ron Simmons. He gets a big reaction from the crowd, and he starts getting a JYD chant. I would actually say I think this match is worse than the second match. It's not really a match; it's short. But
I
your thoughts?
actually really like this match. This match, to Ron Simmons' credit, it's because Mick Foley's such a doofus now in real life, and WWE presented him as a doofus for like years.
Yes.
He's like a danger for a year in WWF, and then he's a doofus the rest of his career, right? Um, it was it was interesting how Ron Simmons actually presented this guy as a threat, as a physical threat to Ron Simmons. You know what I mean? And I thought that was interesting, so I enjoyed it. I also, this is like this match is a good example of wrestling and sports entertainment combining, because Junkyard Dog, like he doesn't get any pops ever, right? And when he comes anymore, when he comes to that ring, it's like 1986, and you're reminded of, even though this guy is fat and out of shape and dressed like an idiot, he has something that makes people go wild. So if you just present him in the right way, people will still go wild for this guy. And I thought this was the best use of Abdul the Butcher we've seen so far.
This is, I think, I agree, I can see your point, and I think that's very fair. I think the reason why I ranked it solo was because Abdul the Butcher was in it. I know
Oh,
he's your favorite wrestler.
I got so mad when I saw him come out, but when Junkyard Dog made the save and he got that pop, I liked it again.
Anytime Abdul the Butcher is involved in anything, it's like negative like 10 points.
Mhm.
It's like,
And my problem, and maybe it's just because half the time JYD was on drugs, maybe he was a dick in the back. But my problem is, when people shit on JYD, I'm like, if you present him the right way, just like you present the Ultimate Warrior the right way, unlike Ric Flair and Arn Anderson, be like, we would just make him look like an idiot day one. They'll get over. And here you see JYD presented the right way, even though he's fat and old, he's over. And because he has something that not a lot of people have.
fair. Yes.
It's called Tony Khan's cocaine.
Yes. We're gonna go to match number 4.
Mm-hmm.
Vinny Vegas, formerly Oz, and Richard Morton versus Van Hammer, heavy metal Van Hammer and the Z-Man. Hammer and Vinny Vegas, they start off, and they're kind of working together, but they do this thing where they kind of both jump up and they bumped into each other. There's like a little miscommunication spot, but that will be the only time that we really have a miscommunication. The rest of the time, it's a fair match. Vegas and Morton, they start beating on Hammer, and I think JR is talking about heavy metal music and stuff, and Ventura goes, facially he looks more like Twisted's sister. Because Van Hammer is an ugly man, and
Yeah.
he looks like D. Snyder. I was like, oh man, I missed Ventura on commentary. He's so fucking good.
He's good. It's because I've watched some late '93 WCW shows. He doesn't have this energy like he has in this show. This is still WWF Ventura.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, this is still like, and he's really fucking. And you can tell half the time this is the other thing. Jim Ross, I think half the time, like, kind of gets lost because Ventura says something so funny he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, you know what brought this commentary down was that Jim Ross a lot of times didn't react to
Because he doesn't know how to react to it.
Yeah,
Because he wants to talk about like fucking football scholarships.
every time Jim Ross has been on commentary in WCW, he's always had a person who was kind of agreeing with it for the most part, right? Like it was like Bob Caudle, it was Tony Schiavone, it was
Even
Dusty
Paul Heyman
Rhodes.
to an extent.
Yeah. But this is the first time where his commentary is like actively like disrespecting the faces. And the reason why Gorilla and Ventura work so much is that Gorilla would
Clap
get
back.
like
He would
he
clap
would
back.
get back, or he would be like, well, like, oh, you can't say that about him. You can't say that. What about like they would argue and stuff. But yeah, Jim Ross didn't really do that, and you're probably right. He probably was thrown off his game.
Yeah.
So, but commentating's still good. In this match, Z-Man makes the hot tag in, and then he just kind of hits a sunset flip cover on Richard Morton out of nowhere for the pin. What did you think about this match?
This was my favorite Richard Morton match since he turned heel. I think Shawn Michaels got the idea for his gimmick with Diesel from this match because Vinny Vegas and Richard Morton have a very HBK Diesel vibe to them, and
Hmm.
they gel well as a team. And it almost felt like this is a ripoff of HBK Diesel, but it's not because the HBK Diesel hasn't happened yet. But I think I kind of think when Kevin Nash went back to WWF in '93, he should have went back into this role, the heavy for a smaller guy, instead of like trying to still play off the NWO. I think he's
Wait,
really good.
1993. You
I
mean?
mean,
Oh,
I'm
you mean
talking
like?
2003, 2003. When the
Yeah, that would have been good. You know what? You know why it was kind of so when we saw him return to the Rumble as Diesel, that's why it got a huge pop because that's what people
Yeah, but
want to
I
see.
think like Diesel standing like if he like if he was Dolph's guy, like he's like I'm just gonna be like I'm Dolph's sidekick now. I think he would have got over again like that.
Oh, absolutely.
He's
You
good in
know,
this. He's good in this role as the backup to the little guy,
who's fits this role so well right now
Wardlow.
is Big Bill.
Oh yeah, Big Bill. Yeah. Well, he
Big
was great
Cass
with
in
that with Enzo.
AEW. Yeah, he's there right now with Ricky Starks, and it looks great. They because big someone that big really doesn't need to talk a lot. They're
Yeah.
humongous and they look like $1 million. They're not their bodies in shape and everything. When I watch Kevin Nash in WCW, I'm just so surprised at how poorly they mismanaged him. Like this guy should have been killing people left and right. It was
Yeah.
weird
Like
because he's as big as like Sid Vicious and like Dan Spivey when those guys were the skyscrapers and they were killing people left and right, right? This guy's losing every fucking match.
you know what I think it is more so than anything with
What?
WCW. I think it's because he was a liberal. I know that sounds crazy, but he's very liberal, Kevin Nash. He's very like Democrat, and he doesn't mind telling you. And I can see them being like, let's just squash this fucking guy because of that. I know that's
Yeah,
like a
it doesn't make any sense to me why he keeps losing. He's with that size. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like
They like
it's
and
not
they
because he's
just
green, because Sid Vicious was green, but they were letting him win. You know?
yeah. Well, hey, listen. It's they didn't see anything in him. He had the last laugh though because he becomes the king of WCW in a few
Yeah.
years.
You know what? They have to rehire him for a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Uh,
thanks to Vinnie Mac. But yeah, this was actually I enjoyed this match more than I thought. You see Van Hammer, Z-Man, Ricky Morton, and an early Kevin Nash. You're like, ugh. But I thought this was a pretty good match. I liked
you
it.
know what? All four guys could wrestle.
They were
They're
working hard. I mean, Van Hammer, Cactus Jack has been defending Van Hammer on his podcast, and I see it. Like he's like, people say he sucks. He doesn't suck.
no, he doesn't suck. He might be a little green, but like I mentioned this in the podcast previously. Even something about wrestling back then, even the guys who are green then, like we're a year or two in, they wrestle a
But
lot better than guys who are new now. You
but
know, like
you know what
if
it is
you're
with Van
new
Hammer.
now, like if you're only a year or two in, it really shows that you're a year or two in. But back then, you can't really tell that much, right?
Yeah, but you know
And
what
I
it is.
wonder
You know what it
what
is
is
with
it?
Van Hammer. It's the same thing like they said with Ultimate War. They would have done to Ultimate Warrior. They eventually they aren't like the guys like Arn and all them just went out of their way to make him look stupid. They decided that they found ways to make you look stupid in WCW. They would do it.
Yeah.
So that's why his push always got fucked up.
Yeah, it's really stupid too because when I see WCW, and there's a time where they're pushing the young guys of Sting, Lex Luger, and the Steiner brothers, right?
Mhm.
And they're getting one up on guys like Arn Anderson and stuff. But then you have your next generation of young, like built up guys like a Z Man, a fucking
Van
Van Hammer,
Hammer.
a Vanny Vegas, and they're like in less prominent positions than like an Arn Anderson and a fucking Larry Zbysko. Like, why the fuck is that happening all of a sudden? You know?
Because those guys call the shots.
Yeah, but they were like, see, but like, I would be like, when we put the Steiners, Lex Luger, and Sting over you guys, now they're the fucking stars. Why? That's what they should have been doing.
Yeah,
It's so stupid.
that when I heard Ric Flair go, we would have made Ultimate Warrior look stupid in 2 days and chased them out. I'm like, that's why you went out of business.
Yeah, ultimately, yeah.
I think if Van Hammer signed with WWF, he would have had a people would see him far differently than how they see him.
Yeah, he would have been Man Mountain Rock, you know?
But I think he'd be like I think he would have been like if not Adam Bomb, at least like a Bryan Adams level. Like
I like that.
yeah. Well, we're gonna get more into them as we keep going. But
Yeah.
yeah, this match was pretty good.
That's all
Very
right, yeah.
pleasant
There was one
surprise.
match that I really hated. I actually, I even the Cactus Jack Ron Simmons match, it wasn't a bad match. Like Cactus
Yeah.
fucking like took the elbow from the top. It's just that I didn't like Abdul the Butcher. You know?
I mean, I hope that's the last we see of this guy, but you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I'll tell you all you need to know about him, the Butcher. ECW's fucking the Extreme Promotion. He's never once there because Heyman knows he's a useless garbage.
Yeah, he's losing.
Heyman's not an idiot.
Yep. Tony Schiavone and Eric Bischoff, they before the next match, they recap what's happening, why it's a grudge match. It's a recap of what happened between Arn Anderson and Larry Zbyszko and Dustin Rhodes and Barry Windham, how the feud happened. Remember when when Larry Zbyszko slammed the car door on Barry Windham's hand?
Mm-hmm.
It was a grudge match, but Arn Anderson is not in it. It's match number 5. It is Larry Zbyszko and his stablemate, Stunning Steve Austin, with Medusa, versus Dustin Rhodes and Barry Windham. Ventura during this match keeps mentioning Medusa, like he's in love with her. And he's like,
at this point, she's the hottest woman in wrestling, I think.
Hotter than Sherry?
I think so.
Hotter than Missy Hyatt?
I think so.
Really? I don't know.
We're talking about February '92.
Oh, okay. Wait, by the way, where is Jason Harvey? I haven't heard him mentioned in like 4 WCW pay-per-views in a row.
Oh, I don't know. Well, I was the Wonder Years wrapping up. I think like it had one more year, so maybe he's like, oh my, I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't worry, he's gonna be on TNA, so we have plenty of time to see him.
Yeah. But anyway, as I was mentioning, Ventura keeps mentioning Medusa, and there's a point where he goes, "She's been to the gym because her chest looks great." All right. So this match, I had a problem with this match. So this is the grudge match, right? And the grudge is really coming from who?
It's Barry Windham and Larry Zbyszko.
Barry Windham, because he's the one who had a broken hand, right? Yeah. So even though Barry Windham's the one who really has the grudge because he got his hand broken by Zbyszko slamming a door in his hand, he doesn't wrestle that way. He just kind of wrestles like he does wrestling moves on Larry Zbyszko. When Dustin Rhodes tags in, he attacks Larry Zbyszko like he has the grudge. He's like taking Zbyszko's hand and he's like slamming it to the mat and he's like stomping on it and everything. And I'm like, Barry, what the fuck are you doing, man?
Dustin has talent. Dustin understands the assignment. Barry Windham.
Yeah.
Barry Windham's a guy. This is the thing I get from Barry Windham, and even the other wrestlers have said this. He's the guy who's basically, and I think sometimes Nakamura's like this. He's like, I could outshine everyone. I could outshine everyone in this company in WWF without even trying, but I don't feel like trying. So I'm just gonna do this.
I think that's and you know what, guys? If you go like, no, you got it completely wrong. Well, that's how you're presenting it. That's
what wrestlers have said. Wrestlers have said like Barry Windham barely tried and he was a good worker. He was a great worker. But that's the thing, like him going 20% is better than most people's 100%.
Yeah, and can you imagine if he went 100%, right?
Yeah, I just think he just never really felt the need to. He was just like, whatever.
It definitely showed in his body.
Definitely, yeah, I know. That's my thing. Like he's like, I'm this good of a worker, and I go to the gym twice a year. So like,
yeah, that's what I always
like what Tommy Dreamer thinks.
He never had the body. It's too bad.
Yeah, I think apparently that's just his natural body. He doesn't really work out.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying. He should have worked out, right?
Should have done a lot.
He would have been $1 million. Yeah.
I think that if he had stayed in WWF and he had really applied himself, I think Vince would have gave him the brass ring after in the late 80s, because I think he saw a lot in the US Express. That song Real American's written for him. It's not written for Hulk Hogan.
Really?
Yeah, it was written for him and Mike Rotundo.
Wow, interesting. Yeah.
Mhm.
So in this match, Medusa slaps Dustin in the face, and Dustin kind of goes after up on the ramp, but then he just gets clotheslined by Steve Austin. And then out of nowhere, Barry Windham just kind of hits a flying clothesline on Cruncher for the win. Not a good match, like a fair match, but one of the things I kind of was seeing a pattern and I don't like it is a lot of the out of nowhere finisher that's coming out of. They're just like
Yeah.
they're not building up to the finish. It's just like the guy was getting beaten on, just all of a sudden just hits a move and then wins. And it's like, what? Like this, it's cool the first time we're seeing it, but now we're seeing it like 2, 3 times in a row, and it's like,
Yeah, I did like this match though. I don't like Larry Zbyszko. I think thank God they banned him trying to give him this fucking Crusher nickname. I think that was stupid. But I did like.
I think it was better than Larry Zbyszko. That's like
I
five. They give
I
it a
just don't think I just don't think Larry Zbyszko looks like a guy who like he looks what he looks like? He looks like a comedy club owner who wrestles on the side. He's like on the phone with like Eric Bronstein. Yeah, give that guy 10 minutes, and he puts a headlock on. Like he looks like he does nothing in life. He like runs a deli. He just looks like I don't know.
Larry Zbyszko is the guy who should be putting over Marcus Alexander Bagwell.
I know.
You know,
Well,
like
he stops wrestling full time pretty soon.
yeah,
Yeah, and then he
yeah, but he's
becomes
like he's smaller than them. He just looks like he just looks like he's 20 years behind.
yeah. But I did enjoy this match. Dustin and Steve Austin are wrestling. It's you can tell like they're you could tell like one of like Dustin could have been what Stone Cold was if he applied himself. Like they're both on the same trajectory here. They're
Mm.
both like just so good and they're getting it so fast and the world's at their feet. And like back in the day, Mark DeMeo and Bill Burr were at the same level. And Mark DeMeo talks about this, and Bill Burr just kept going. And Mark DeMeo just and that's kind of Dustin and Steve Austin. And Mark DeMeo? You know Mark DeMeo, right?
I got some great Mark DeMeo stories.
We'll talk about that later. That's a
Yeah,
different.
yeah, we can't talk about it
But
here.
but that's the thing. Like it's so exciting because it's like, and I think when I think the reason why Cody left and I think he was proven right. Like I can't wind up like Dustin. I like Dustin, which just kept getting better and better and better, then hit a ceiling, and he's still like he's still doing it. But I think if Dustin had applied himself, I think if Dustin had believed in himself, or if he had the right guidance, I think he could have been huge. Even
I
bigger than the Goldust.
think I think Dustin did apply himself. I just think that,
I think
and
that Goldust
a
gimmick.
lot of this is luck.
Mhm.
He got into a gimmick that was such a good gimmick that he got saddled with it, and it ended up being a over time not a good gimmick, and that's Goldust.
Well, the thing
Gold,
about it is if they eventually had him abandon Goldust to become Dustin Rhodes in WWF, but like when they did it half-heartedly. But if they went full out, like he's now going to be a badass, it could have worked. But I think at that point, by the time they got to like '98, his demons were so bad, and like Vince was like, I don't have faith in this guy.
yeah, that's probably true too. Yeah. All right. So after this match, we go back to Tony Schiavone and Eric Bischoff, and Eric Bischoff has a Michigan jacket on for the next match.
Yeah, they're really hyping. I'll say the thing they did with this pay per view, which I really liked, is they really got over that Arn Anderson and Bobby Eaton are like some super team. Like they're almost like the Avengers or something. Like the two best tag team wrestlers ever are now together. And even though I don't believe they're like the greatest tag team, I have to admit, like, well, you guys did a really good job at convincing the viewers that this is a fucking big deal that these two guys are teaming up. It's not
Yeah.
just like we have nothing for. I always thought it was basically like these two idiots have nothing going on, so they're now a tag team. But the way
Which is
that they
true.
presented it was really good.
Yeah. I mean, those two, I would say, are probably like tag team specialists. Yeah. You
Yeah,
know?
but like they're acting like Batman and Superman are teaming up. It was really cool how they put them over. Like that was cool. That was like a good job from them.
Who is it? Who's like that now? Where there's like they're just like
I think
tag
like
team
I would
specialists.
say if like Dax Harwood and Jay Uso got together, it'd be like that was what it would be like.
Actually, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a very fair
Like
comparison. Yeah.
you could do this type of holy shit, these guys are now a unit if those two formed a tag team.
Yeah, I can see
F,
that. Yeah.
F, FT Heat.
FTE, yes. But before we can get to that match, was probably one of my least favorite parts of the show. That actually, it is my least favorite. But actually, it's right up there with Abdul the Butcher as my least favorite part of the show. Missy Hyatt's in the back. She wants to talk to Ricky Steamboat, and she runs into a fucking ninja. Yes, Ricky Steamboat has a ninja, and she wants to talk to fucking Ricky Steamboat, but the ninja keeps going like ho ho, all that fucking stupid racism shit. They open the door slightly, and you see Ricky Steamboat with some fucking like candles and fucking incense meditating, and Missy Hyatt tries to seduce the ninja, but
He's a ninja.
he won't let her. And I was thinking this whole time, I was thinking, wow, Ricky Steamboat, you probably left WWF because you were like, this fucking dragon gimmick where I'm just in like a dragon is too fucking racist, and you came to a more fucking racist gimmick.
Dude. So this is my problem with the ninja. The payoff is good. The payoff is fun, right?
Yes.
The payoff, but like, because we don't have access to the weekly shows from this era, so I don't know how this is presented. So Ricky Steamboat, as a character, as in kayfabe, finds this ninja, and like, what is he training with the ninja? And then and it's like, bro, like Vince McMahon has never done it. This is more racist than Saba Simba. So the fact that Ricky Steamboat agreed to this, like, I'm gonna have like this cartoon ninja with me. When I first saw the ninja, because I didn't realize what the payoff was gonna be. I'm like, is that the wife? Is that the wife's like, oh, I'll be on TV as the ninja. Like, oh, dude, it was more offensive than anything Vince McMahon could have gave this guy.
Yeah, it's really offensive. I was just like, dude.
But you could tell, because Ricky Steamboat's not really Japanese, by the way. He's like 5%.
No, he's like fucking Polynesian. He's like, no, I think he might be Japanese.
The fact that he agreed to this shows that he's racist too. He doesn't give a fuck about Japanese people.
Yeah, Ricky Steamboat. Remember you going like you would have built the company around him. I would not.
You know what I think ruined him was that wife.
Yeah, 100% that wife ruined it. But here's the thing: nobody had a gun. Nobody had a gun to his head, telling him to fucking put her on TV.
Well, I think when he asked for time off at the WrestleMania 3, I think probably I would not be in. If he said, Vince, after WrestleMania 3, I'm committed to this company 110%. I'll wrestle 6 times a day. I don't give a fuck. I think we would have saw a face versus face match sooner. I think we would have saw Hogan versus Steamboat. But the minute Steamboat said I need time off, literally 2 to 3 months after, probably the biggest, right now, even now in 1992, the biggest WrestleMania match in history. Like, what? Okay, take your time off, you fucking idiot. Get the fuck out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't take you seriously.
Yeah, but didn't he also like show up on WWF TV with his fucking stupid ass wife and baby too? Yeah.
Yeah. WrestleMania 4,
like that was the point for me where I'm like, this guy's a fucking kid,
Yeah.
Dude, like, no offense to Ricky Zima, but you're not the only one who had a fucking family wrestling at this time. A lot of guys have families wrestling at this time. You were the only fool who wanted to fucking parade around TV.
If he doesn't bring the family out in WWF, but then like in the Ric Flair story, Ric Flair's going on like, I love like cheating on my wife. I love this. I love having women. And then Ricky Steamboat walks out with his wife and kid and be like, well, I love being a family man. That's why I have to destroy you. It would have worked once in one match. And then he sends them to the back. And then he fights Ric Flair. In that way, it makes sense. But when he trotted that dumb fucking kid out at WrestleMania 4, and Vince and Bruce Pritchard had no idea, it's like, dude, this is fucking stupid. This is fucking
because he's done it. He brings them out so many fucking times, and it's just so dumb. And
now he's this dumb ninja. But the payoff of the ninja actually makes fucking Ricky Steamboat look dumber, which is in a way
it does. It does.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, we're gonna go to match number 6. It is for the WCW tag titles. The Steiner brothers are trying to reclaim the titles from the current champions of beautiful Bobby Eaton and Arn Anderson with Paulie. Before the match begins, they do say Paulie dangerously is barred from ringside, so he has to leave.
Mm-hmm.
During this match, Jesse Ventura he keeps talking about how stupid Rick Steiner is, because Rick Steiner is WCW's Jim Duggan, and I fucking love it. He just makes him a lot of stupid jokes. How did he get?
It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I'm wondering though, because Rick Steiner's a legit tough guy, and he doesn't do it. After a while, he stops doing it. I wonder if Rick Steiner like threatened to like fucking rape him or something because like he eases off on it a little bit. But see, I
Yeah.
think if they kept letting see the fun thing about Jesse Ventura is when he just roasts the faces. That's what makes it fun.
Yes, yeah, that's what I love about it. Yeah, there is a fun spot that happens when Arn Anderson and Rick Steiner in the ring together, and Arn Anderson drops down, and Rick Steiner just drops down right next to him and smiles at him. People pop for that, and Rick Steiner just kicks him until he posts himself. Most of this match is the Steiners in control, like they're just fucking so good. And then the heels finally start doing a beatdown, and then Rick Steiner gets a hot tag in, and he fires back, and they do this really crazy electric chair fucking spot where they have him in the like they have Rick Steiner in the electric chair, kind of like a doomsday device that the LOD does, and fucking they fucking I think it's Bobby Ian jumps into Rick Steiner, but Rick kind of grabs him and he's supposed to turn it into a power slam, but they kind of fuck it up a little bit. But they kind of say like it could have been really bad. Like he could have Rick Steiner could have landed on his fucking head. Anyways, Arn Anderson throws powder in Rick's eyes and Rick's blinded, so he fucking belly to belly kind of like suplexes
The ref.
a second referee comes in, and then Scott Steiner hits a Frankensteiner on Bobby Eaton for the win. But the first referee calls a DQ on the Steiners for attacking him, and they give the belts back to Arn and Bobby Eaton. What did you think about this match?
I liked it a lot. I really enjoyed it. I thought this was a fire tag match. The crowd is hot. I love the Steiners delivering. Arn and Bobby are cooking. I liked it a lot. The finish, honestly, as soon as he belly to belly the ref, they should just call for disqualification. The fact that it kept going and then the other ref, like, because it's not like it was done like so blatant in front of everyone. You know, as a viewer, the match is over. Like, he can't do that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the fact that they tried, like, oh, he actually pinned him. I'm like, but I thought other than that finish, I thought it was a great match.
The more I watch these WCW pay-per-views, and the more I watch Steiner matches, I think I'm gonna have to say the Steiners are probably the greatest tag team of all time.
I mean, right now they're on a hot streak. They've been on a hot streak since the last Superbrawl.
Their matches are consistently entertaining. Entertaining.
And they're hitting
because of the Steiners.
So fucking hard. Yeah, they're going at it. They're like doing like, you know, you want to talk about strong style or Gunther? They're like a tag team of Gunthers.
Yeah. Dude, there's a point in this match. Scott Steiner's barely sweating.
Yeah.
But he's been throwing people around. Everyone else is sweaty. He's like barely sweating. I think Jesse Ventura even points that out. I'm not sure if he points that out or not, but I was like, yeah, this guy's fucking not sweating. And here's the thing. When you watch Legion of Doom, and they are a really good tag team too, at the same time, they do have stinker matches every once in a while, right?
Yeah. These guys don't have stinkers.
Yeah, these guys, you could book them in stinkers. They just can't have stinkers because the way Rick and Scott performs, they perform with some kind of like disregard for like people's bodies, which is, granted, it's terrible. I get it. But it is entertaining because they're just throwing people around with these belly to bellies, and it's like they're missing landing on their head by just like this much. But something about that is so entertaining.
But I think that's why they're so good, because they're not missing. You think they're missing it by this much, but they know exactly how to throw them where it looks like they're about to die, but they don't, you know?
Yeah, it just
I would say
feels like they don't care about their opponent's health at all.
I think with Bobby Eaton and Arn Anderson they do. I think with the jobbers they don't. I would say, like, if you were back in the 90s, like this, if you are someone who says WCW is better than WWF, both the Steiner match from Super Bowl 1 and Super Bowl 2 are what you could point to and be like, this is what WCW does better than WWF, and this is why I watch WCW instead of WWF. I really think you could. A lot of
so too.
a lot of other things just seem like WWF light or boring, but with the Steiners get in the ring, it's like this is why you watch WCW. And if WCW and if they focused more on stuff like this, it could have helped them.
When I think WCW and I think about like what's the high points, it's always like the same four guys. It's either Sting, Lex Luger, or the Steiner.
Mm-hmm.
Those were their four pillars.
You know,
those should have been their four pillars.
You know why they went to WWF? Fucking the guy who takes over. By the way, Kip Fry, I think, is a very underrated guy that ran WCW because he has a very brief run, but all his he just took over when the show started. But all his shows are bangers. He doesn't like interfere. But Bill Watts, you know why they leave for WWF in like a year? Bill Watts was like, I don't want Scott Steiner around. He's a dick, but I'll keep you, Rick, around. So, and Rick's like, no, fuck you. If you're gonna fire my brother, I'm gonna go leave my brother too. And who said it? I think it was Eric Bischoff said, yeah, because Scott Steiner would just say to Bill Watts' face, "You're a fucking idiot. And you're a fucking dick." And what you're not making. He goes, he would say Scott Steiner's dangerous. He's a dangerous person. Because Bill Watts starts making some really stupid decisions, and Scott Steiner basically is just like, this is fucking stupid. And that's why Bill Watts didn't like it.
Well, Scott Steiner.
But, I would have built my company around these two guys in 92 to 93. Scott Steiner versus Vader in 93. Rick Steiner versus Vader in 93. That's money. And instead he lets them go to WWF.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would have built if I was in charge of WCW, I would have been like, we're building this company around these four guys, right?
Yeah. And Vader
and we're gonna be building up the next crop of guys while we're doing this too. So guys like Z-Man should have been one of those guys. And Van Hammer, and there was somebody else. Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash and Diamond Stud. I would have been like, you guys are gonna be the next guys too, We gotta get rid of I'll be like, listen, I respect your body of work, but guys like Arn Anderson, Larry Zbyszko, you're small. They're smaller compared to these other guys, and you guys have an old feel, like you guys have an old-fashioned feel, right? Yeah. And you're valuable, but you can't be the top guys anymore. You have to understand that. Ricky Morton, you have to be at like Ricky Morton level and shit like that. But anyways.
The thing about it is that I like Arn, but when I was a kid and I see Arn Anderson walk out there in his dopey little trunks, I'm just not interested. Not interested. You're presenting, to me, he was just some silly old man in WWF. You're presenting him as like, this guy's a legit threat. This guy could beat Hogan. Like, no, he can't. Like, leave me, bro. Come on. Anyway.
Yeah. By the way, after this match, Jesse Ventura and JR, they actually do talk about this match, and they go over, and they even point out that Bobby Eaton wasn't even the legal man, so even if he made that cover, it wouldn't have counted anyway. So that was like a fair point. And this is the time where you actually get to see Jesse Ventura not without a bandana. So this is the first time you've seen bald Jesse Ventura, and I did not like it. No, I know he's bald now, but I don't know. It was just really off-putting seeing a bald Jesse Ventura for the first time.
It's racist. What it is?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. No.
Go ahead.
Good analysis from these two guys.
Yeah. Speaking of racism, Missy Hyatt's in the back with the ninja again.
Oh, hello.
And Ricky the Dragon. She wants to speak to Ricky again, but Ricky the Dragon, he goes out for his match, which is the next match number 7 for the U.S. title. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat with the fucking ninja versus the champion, Rick Rude. Rick Rude gets on the microphone. He's trying to speak, trying to cut a promo.
They boo the shit out of him, bro.
But he's got Dominic Mysterio heat. They keep booing him, won't let him talk. When Ricky the Dragon comes out with this fucking ninja, I did not feel bad for Ricky Steamboat. I was like, this is what you get. This is what you get when you come out with your fucking wife and baby. You could have been the man, but
what I want to
these fucking people coming.
You know what we have to do before we get to the next pay-per-view? It has to be on YouTube, the vignette that explains why Ricky Steamboat has this ninja with it. Like, because he had to cut a promo like, I'm training now with this ninja that I met. He has to cut some dumb fucking promo, and the ninja's in the back going, woo, woo, woo. The ninja is so And it's funny. The reveal is funny. But before you know the reveal, it looks so over the top stupid. And he's walking like so serious. It makes him look like such a fucking idiot. Because the
Yeah.
ninja is the finish actually also makes him look even dumber. But
Yeah.
it makes Paul Heyman fucking
Yeah. So the reason why this is really stupid is because
Ricky Steamboat's
Ricky
treating the ninja seriously.
Steamboat is still serious Ricky Steamboat, but he's got like this cartoon character, right? Like jumping around and going like just being super like
Racist.
it's like really seeing like a real live action person with a cartoon character jumping. It's like Roger Rabbit.
It would be like imagine if Gunther walked out with Eugene.
Yeah, it's just really just stupid, and it's like I really don't feel bad for Ricky Steamboat.
No.
I think
and I feel like Paul
Heyman. At this
Heyman.
point, he deserves it.
But when you know that it's so the spoiler is that it's Paul Heyman in the ninja costume. And I feel like Paul Heyman is actively acting dumber in the background to make Ricky Steamboat look even stupider when he loses. Which I think is really funny. It puts the heels over really well. So
yeah. You know, and okay, so it's Rick Rude versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Both guys can wrestle. So while this is not a bad match, I personally cannot get into it. And here's the thing. I can tell the crowd couldn't either because the crowd seems distracted. They're not like there's a point where Ricky Steamboat's like firing back up. The crowd could really give two shits about it.
Mhm.
And most of this match is just Rick Rude beating on Ricky Steamboat. There's really not a lot of like crowd reaction to that. Ricky Steamboat hits a superplex and fires back up, right? And like I said, the crowd's just really not that into it as well. And then Ricky does like a karate chop from the top, and as referee's checking on Rick Rude, the ninja gets up on the apron and then clobbers Ricky Steamboat with a fucking cell phone, giant Paul Heyman cell phone. And then Rick Rude covers Ricky Steamboat for the win. Good finish. Like I said, that was
what? So I think I know everything about that finish. Generally surprised me. I did not know that was Paul Heyman until he the great job on their behalf because that's a reveal that actually did surprise me.
It did. It did.
And it made me feel dumb because I should expect that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it did make the dragon look even dumber.
Yes.
Because how do you not realize
that your ninja
that this ninja who's accompanying you, who's basically your manager, is not fucking Paul Heyman? Weren't you like when you go into the ring, like asking him questions like, "Hey, make sure you like look out for Paul Heyman," and the guy goes, "Oh, gee," and you're just like, your voice sounds different, or like,
because he's racist.
Yeah, like why wouldn't you pick up on that? It just made Ricky Steamboat look stupid, and I think at this point, people who are booking realize Ricky Steamboat.
You know what I think you said the crowd's not into it. You know what I think that is because there's 3 times now where people got burned from getting behind Ricky Steamboat. WWF in '88, NWA, WCW in '89, and then last year in WWF. Like you finally get you've like okay he's back. Let's because everyone even in '90 I remember as a kid being like I really want this guy to like do big things now. You know, like
yeah, absolutely. In the '90s,
and then he just vanishes and he's in WCW, and I'm like, really? And I think people like, and we'll see how as it goes because he's here until the end of '94, and then he retires. I think people like we need you to be here longer before we put our trust back in as fans because you just leave.
Probably.
You just we get invested in you and then you just fucking take off.
Yeah, he yeah.
You know,
it's still Ricky Steamboat, so the match is still good, right?
But I just was like, it was good. I just the finish is the best part of it.
Yeah, no, good point. So Missy Hyde is in the back, and she's like, "Wow, that was crazy! What happened with Ricky Steamboat?" And she goes, "I gotta get a word in with the champ, Rick Rude." And she opens up Rick Rude's locker room door, and you see all of the Dangerous Alliance just like talking, and you see Paul Heyman in the ninja outfit with the mask off, and then then you see her, they go, "Oh shit!" They try to chase her away from the door, like close it. So you know,
I thought that was actually a pretty funny moment.
Yeah, I thought that segment was good too. So I liked it, dude. I did not really remember Missy Hyatt at all, but when I'm watching these, I'm realizing she wasn't that bad. Like her segments are okay. You know,
No,
like
she wasn't. I just think that and yeah, I follow Missy Hyatt on Twitter, by the way, and she's really into like wrestling. Like she watches New Japan, she watches Stardom. Like she's not like some bitter everything was better in 1992. Like she likes watching everything. AEW, like she's like a genuine fan of this whole thing. I just think back then, like, you know, you're just seen as I don't know, like you're just seen lesser than because you're a woman and stuff.
see, this is what I think. I think Missy Hyatt, when I'm watching these segments and I go like, man, I really enjoyed Missy Hyatt when she was trying to see like a naked wrestler in the locker room and she kept running into Stan Hansen. I really enjoyed those segments. I enjoy these interview things where she's trying to get an interview and she's these like quick 1 minute segments. And I realize why they're so good. Missy Hyatt knew her role and she played it very well.
Yeah, she's great.
She realized, you know what my character is? I'm the blonde bimbo. That's
Yeah.
my character, right? Because not everybody has to be a fucking wrestling like wizard, a knowledgeable like professional.
Mhm.
Like that, they have Eric Bischoff for that. They have Tony Schiavone for that. They have Jim Ross for that. They even had like Bob. They even had fucking Jordan Sullivan. What the fuck? I can't compete with that. But I can play the blonde bimbo, which most of these people already think that I am, and I just like lived up that character. And I think that's what she did, and that's why I think her character was so good because she realizes wrestling is acting at the end of the day. It's acting, and she's just like, hey, I gotta fucking play this blonde bimbo character, and I thoroughly enjoy her fucking segment. So that's my
Yeah.
take on
Yeah, no, it was
it.
really it was she's good. I like her a lot. And she knows her role. And we need
Mhm.
another bimbo in wrestling, I think.
We do, and we need
Everyone
some.
now has to be like fucking Charlotte Flair or something.
You know what we need? We need somebody who's brave enough to play that role. And what I
I
mean
think
by brave
Maxine
enough,
could be the person.
yeah, we what I mean by brave enough is that if you played a blonde bimbo character now, you would 100% get shitted on
You're gonna get a lot of
by
backlash.
yeah, you're gonna get a lot of backlash. And I need someone who's brave enough to not have to go on Twitter and be like, guys, I'm not really like that. Here's a
I'm
quick
actually really smart. I
yeah,
respect it.
be like even MJF is not brave enough to play a real heel because when he's on social media, he's not a heel sometimes. And it's like, no, dude, you should play this character like all the way. No apologies. All the way. Every interview, every social media thing. I hate that like people bring up, oh, you know, he was in character when he did the Chris Van Fleet interview. Yeah, but then he's not on character in other fucking places. It's bullshit. It's stupid. You know, it's
Yeah.
dumb, it's lazy. He only does it when he has a willing participant to play along with his stupid ass roles. I to me that's he's not that great of you. He's really overrated. I've said that before, and I think this year he's proven to me to everybody how overrated he is. And I want someone. You're right. Right now in wrestling, they need a blonde bimbo character, but we need someone who's actually fucking strong enough to fucking play this character. I don't know
Well,
who that is.
I don't know.
Nobody.
But like, yeah, MJF, like uh, he's gotta turn back heel. I don't know how they're gonna do
Yeah.
it.
And he needs to. Someone needs to teach him how to be. You
He
know,
was
like
good
I
at
don't
it.
really
He had it and then he lost it. I don't know. He thinks being a heel is, I don't know, fucking. I don't know. He tells Dolph Ziggler, "Your mom died last week and she was a whore." And then
That's what I'm saying. He's not a good heel. He
yeah.
thinks being a heel is going for the lowest hanging fruit, right? Because anybody can go, "Oh, I hope your kid dies of AIDS." Oh, I'm a heel, guys.
I'll tell
Can
you,
you
yeah,
believe I said that? It's like it's so lowbrow.
like
It's
if
not.
Seth Rollins walked out on next week Raw, I'm like, "Hey, see, what do you see in Punk? What are you gonna like talk shit about me like you did the Young Bucks?" Or we're like, "Oh," but like at the
Yeah,
same time, that's like now he can't respond to that because of the NDA. But that's low hanging fruit, like
exactly. Yeah,
instead
exactly.
they're
And it's
dancing
like,
around the Young Bucks thing. Yeah,
you know who's doing a good heel character right now? And it's like it's you could tell it's a good heel
Grayson
character
Waller.
because well, no, because what?
Grayson Waller.
No,
No.
Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, he's good.
And you know why it's a good heel character? Because it's a heel character that is he you buy that he believes what he believes,
Yeah, bro.
right? And you go like he's got a point, but the way he's doing about it is wrong. And that's how you feel about him. And he kind of lives this character even online. He doesn't do these interviews or go on social media and go, guys, I really just, like, we should all support like Jey Uso during this Yeet movement. Like he should get his Yeet. Like he doesn't do that. He's a straight. He even complains online, right?
Yeah.
And that's a good heel character, and it's low key. You don't realize it is that good. Everyone thinks he's bitter. He wants to leave. Everyone thinks he's bitter, right? Whether or not they think it's real
Well,
or
because
not.
that's the character. The character is
Yeah,
better.
but that's a good heel character. Like, and MJF, it's so overrated. I felt this guy was overrated like a while ago. Remember,
Well, he's being
he
exposed.
wasn't my pick as one of the top pillars either. I was wrong about that top pick anyway, though. But regardless, I didn't see
Listen,
that much.
Pop does all 4 pillars stink.
You know who were good pillars, though? These next two guys. They were actual good pillars. In our 8th and final match, we got the WCW World Title, Sting, going up against his former best friend, Lex Luger, who's a champion, who comes out with Harley Race. Before these match begins, they just kind of stand in the ring and they just start talking. They're just talking to each other in the face-off, which I fucking really liked. And it's a long talking thing. You can't hear what they're saying. They're just talking to each other. And it makes so much sense because you have to keep in mind, these guys are former, like, good friends, right? And this is a big match for both of them. I can totally see how they're just like, this is the first time they're having like a real face-to-face conversation where it's just them two, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as the conversation is happening, they're probably just talking about like, hey, what move do you want to do after this? That's probably what they're talking about. But it looks like they're having a serious discussion. And it starts getting like, Lex Luger's the first one to get agitated. And he fucking shoves Sting, and Sting shoves him back. And then they just start fighting, and the crowd's already just super into it. They fight, and Sting puts Lex Luger in his own finishing move, the torture rack. But, Lex is too big, and that's also not his finishing move, so he can't hold on to it. Lex Luger takes over, and he starts beating on Sting, including hitting him with a low blow, hitting him with a pile driver. Sting still kicks out of that. Lex Luger is on the ropes, and Sting kind of leaps up into him, and Lex Luger dodges, and Sting goes over the top rope. It's not a disqualification, but I feel like I've seen this happen where it ended up being a disqualification, but it's not here.
Mm-hmm.
Did we see that before where somebody's like on the rope and they duck and the guy goes flying over and it ended up being a DQ?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah. Okay. Anyways, regardless, while they're outside though, Harley Race tries to hit a pile driver and Sting just kind of back body drops him and then climbs it to the top and just hits the flying crossbody out of nowhere for the win. That's the one downside of this match is once again they did that thing where the good guys are getting beaten on, and they just randomly pulls out one move to win.
I think that's good heat.
Yeah, they did it like 4 times in this pay-per-view. If this was the only match that did this, it would be okay. But they did it so many times it kind of takes away. However, I would say I still enjoyed this match.
It was a really good match. This is it for Lex Luger in WCW for a while. He goes to the WBF, and then he becomes Mr. Made in the USA, the narcissist, all that other shit. So this is it.
Narcissist is a great character.
And this is it's a great way to go out. It'll be interesting when we get to 1993 to see, and 94 and 95, to see how his matches fare as we continue the journey. But this is it for him until the next time we're going to see him in WCW is the first Nitro.
Wow, that's going to be a long time. And yeah. I will say this, though. If this is the last time we see Lex Luger in WCW for a while, I would say, man,
it was a great run, 87 to 92.
It's a good run in it, but it's a run where WCW really missed the boat.
They missed the boat on him. Now rewatching we've seen all his pay-per-view matches now with this first run, and we'll see what happens when we get to WWF. Now that we're watching it like this, they dropped the ball on him. He delivered constantly. He showed up very green as dog shit, and green as grass, and he rose to the occasion right away with Ric Flair, and they constantly fucked him over. And then they go on podcasts and say like, well, he wasn't that good of a worker. And it's just complete lies and bullshit.
Yeah,
He was
and
great. They failed him.
I think to his credit, he doesn't go online and bitch about it. He just like, all right, let them talk. He knows, like, I think Lex Luger knows his value, and he doesn't
Yeah.
need to constantly go on things
I
to
think
defend
he knows
himself.
if you actually watch these shows, I'm good.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you're
and
if you're not like, and this used to be me and you, I think we never really sat and watched these shows. So, and we know that he didn't really have that great matches in WWF. Maybe we'll change our mind when we watch him. Oh yeah, this guy stinks. We just take it for face value because we don't actually sit down and watch the matches. Now that we have, we know this guy delivered.
yeah, absolutely. The four guys who's doing this podcast is like one thing I can say about this podcast. It has really opened my eyes on four guys and their level of how actually five guys on their level of how good they were. Lex Luger, Brutus Beefcake, the Honky Tonk Man,
Mm-hmm.
Ultimate Warrior, and Hulk Hogan, I would say.
Yeah.
Because Hulk Hogan, I kind of forget how I forgot how good of a wrestler he was.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimate Warrior in the beginning he was dog shit, but as you watch, he does get better and better, to
Yeah.
his credit.
To his credit, and I mean, I think that ship has sailed with him being a good wrestler
Yeah.
as we continue. But
Any anybody for you other than those five that changed your opinion as being better than you realize?
oh, being better. Well, I
Better,
always
not
thought
worse.
Hogan was good, and I always thought Warrior was good. I think realizing that Rick, like, sometimes I thought like half the praise of Ric Flair was bullshit, but then once he got to '89, I'm realizing like, no, he's kind of worthy of all the praise. I remember at the beginning of this a year ago. You can look back in '83, '84. Like, I don't think this guy is as good as everyone says he
Yeah,
is,
yeah, you said that.
but he did prove me wrong. So that's nice. And I think also Tully Blanchard, seeing him, I like, okay, he's really good. I'll tell you whose opinion I've has gone down doing
Yes,
this
gone
show.
down.
Million Dollar Man and the Road Warriors.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Um,
and with the Million Dollar Man, I think it's more booking. I think if Vince gave him the belt and told him he could go balls to the wall every pay-per-view, he would be regarded as a GOAT. But it's just that when he knew the finish and the storyline kind of stunk, he did not rise to the occasion. Whereas I feel like Ric Flair, except for the Black Scorpion match, but even in that, he's trying to rise to the occasion because he's trying to wrestle like a different guy. He's failing at it, but he's trying. So, but
yeah.
yeah, so that's oh, and you know who else? Sid. Sid. I always thought Sid was good, but like just seeing like how charismatic it's like,
You
man, they
mean going up, not down? I see.
oh
Okay.
yeah, Sid, yeah, yeah.
Do you know the
Ron
two
Simmons,
guys?
Ron Simmons.
The two guys who, my opinion, went way down from watching these
Mhm.
is Nikita Koloff.
Oh yeah, that guy went in the toilet.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I thought this guy was like Ric Flair, like main event level
I thought
guys.
he was at the very least um as good as like Kevin Nash in '95, and he's absolutely
Yeah, or something like that. Like, yeah, somewhere like even like I don't know, like Sid Vicious level, right?
yeah.
He is someone I'm watching now, going like, this guy. He's not the worst wrestler, but
Horrible.
he should be nowhere near the main event.
Yeah.
Like nowhere near the main event at all.
I
He
think the
like
only reason he got that was because he was as big as Hogan, and they thought in '86 we need someone that looks like as muscular as Hogan.
yeah, he should have been only in that position because of the Magnum TA thing. But
Mhm.
after that fucking pay per view, he should have been relegated back down. But instead,
Yeah.
he just kept being. I was just like, this guy stinks.
Mhm.
And Abdullah the Butcher. Abdullah the Butcher
I
went from
always, as a kid, nothing about Abdul the Butcher interested me, but now somehow I don't know how it's possible for me to think someone has no talent and is an utter loser. So and somehow he's made me think even lesser.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like when I thought about before we started doing this, the way I viewed Abdul the Butcher was I know he looks like dog shit, and I know he couldn't wrestle, but I always said, but back then people must have been really scared of him. So I get his place, I get his role. But now when I'm watching this and I'm seeing like this is the guy people were scared of, this fucking
You know
hokey
what?
shit.
You know where I
It
think.
makes me think wrestling fans were stupider
Well, you know where
back
I
then.
think he excelled was now. Remember, you. It's not like today where we go on YouTube and watch his matches. If you just see a picture of him in black and white and in one of those black and white magazines, he looks intimidating. He
Yeah,
looks like, oh, what happened? If the magazine lies to you and like, what a bloodbath, this guy was crazy. Then when he comes to your town, when he comes to like your podunk fucking territory, you're like, I gotta go see this guy. And then by the time you gave money to see him and realize that he's a talented, he has no talent, he's a piece of shit, they already got your money. But now he can go to another town and there's other people buying magazines and like, oh my God, this guy looks crazy. And he would do that. And then like, after 5 months, he's going back to that town in Texas. Maybe that guy sucks. But maybe some new fan might be like, dude, Butcher's coming, I'll see that. And then,
yeah, you're probably right, man. But yeah,
he's
my
garbage.
view of him has gone down so much that
He
it's
is.
affected my view of wrestling fans
I think
back
it's
then.
affected. Yeah, you know what? He is you know how like they took away Hulk Hogan's Hall of Fame because he said the N word? I think that's not right. I think they should take away Abdullah the Butcher's Hall of Fame or shut the Hall of Fame down.
Yeah,
The two options.
he makes me go like, if you fucking enjoyed Abdul the Butcher, you're you're a dumber person than I think you are.
Yeah.
Like, it made
Like,
me like he's so fucking bad. I have not enjoyed a single Abdullah the Butcher match or moment. I mean, even Nikita Koloff, I can say like there were some matches of his. I was like, yeah, it was all right. It wasn't bad. But since the first time we've seen him, and first time we saw him was Starcade One. He has consistently been the worst part of every fucking
every
show.
show. Yeah. Dude, you know what? Like, if I
That's
ever met Tim
impressive.
Cornette and he started going on about Orange Cassidy, and I would be like, all right, what do you think of Abdul the Butcher? And if he goes like, well, actually, I like Abdul. We should see if he likes Abdul the Butcher. I like him. I'd be like, you know what? I can't take anything you say about AEW seriously ever again
Yeah.
because fucking Narazaka Waka, the guy with the fucking lotion on his body, has more talent in his fucking pinky finger than Abdul the Butcher ever had. Like Abdul the Butcher is embarrassment to old school wrestling.
Yeah, he is. He's like, I get it, he's huge, but once you start seeing him move around, you go like, anybody can kick this guy's ass. He's so slow
I
and
hate.
he's so out of shape. Anybody can kick this guy's ass. It's not believable at all that this guy can kick anyone's ass. You just gotta trip him and then kick him in the face a few times and you win, you know?
Listen, fuck him. But let's review the next 4 weeks. Oh, but guys, this is a good show to watch if you're bored. You're home for Christmas. You want to watch some old school wrestling? Watch Superbrawl 2. Would you agree on that? It's a good show to watch.
Um, it is. If you really just want to watch a few matches, I would say watch the Jushin Liger Brian Pillman match. But you could technically watch this whole thing and not have a bad time. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't have a
Except
bad
for
time.
if you like racism, this is up your alley.
You hate Japanese people. If you like Japanese wrestling but also hate Japanese people, this is the show for you.
Yes.
The next 4 weeks. Next week, WrestleMania 8, Sid versus Hogan. In 2 weeks, it's Wrestle War 92, Sting Squadron versus the Dangerous Alliance in War Games. In 3 weeks, it's Beach Blast 92, Ric Flair. Ricky Steamboat versus Rick Rude. And then in 4 weeks, it's Great American Bash 92, Sting versus Vader. What are you looking forward to?
Oh, well, I do want to watch. I'll tell you the matches that you just mentioned that I really want to watch. Sid versus Hogan. I want to watch Sid versus Hogan. And I would like to see Vader versus Sting. I am not looking forward to Ricky Steamboat versus Rick Rude. We just saw
An
that
Iron
match.
Man match too. I left that.
Oh God. And I am not looking forward to War Games. I
Well,
fucking hate War Games.
the best War
Fucking
Games
hate
match of all time. Everyone agrees.
That's like saying you're missing the best Abdul the Butcher match of all time. Be like, ugh.
Well, hey, listen, we got Steve Austin, and this is the only War Games with Steve Austin, so maybe he does something that no one else did.
We'll
You know?
see. What
So,
about
guys,
you, man? What do you want to watch?
I want to see the War Games. I want to see Sting Vader. WrestleMania 8, I can take or leave, but you know, it's always good to like watch more WWF stuff. Guys, that's the show. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, comment, you know, fucking we have the Patreon, Goots Forever on Patreon. $1 just for support. $5 get the video version.
Yeah.
You can look at this jacket the whole time. And that's the show. We'll see you next week for the final episode of 2023 and WrestleMania 8. Thank you so much, guys. And fuck the ninja.